gonna have to.
Everybody bottoms up.
Oh no.
Started off right. So yeah, we're here for the first episode of Mist of Pandaria podcast. We don't have a title yet, but as more people filter in, we'll ask for some suggestions. But for those people that are joining us really early, right when we've hit the live button, come up with a name for this one. We had Cata chat. We've had I don't even know what the sod one was. We had cubicle chat.
Sodcast, something like that, wasn't it?
Sodcast.
Oh, sorry, really bad. Something really lazy.
Change up the name again. Yeah. We've got the MoP cast. I don't know. There's got to be something.
There you go.
Mop it up, yeah. But yeah, we've got some homies back, some familiar faces as usual. We got Scotty. Welcome back, Scotty. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We've got Bearbis, aka Threatbur, whichever you prefer to call him. He goes by either one. What's up, man?
What's up, guys?
And last but certainly not least, my bearded brother Willie. How's it going, dude?
Yo, what up? Hope you're good. Let's talk some Mr. Pandaria.
Hell yeah. I've been trying to prep for this show by playing on Stormforge for the past couple of weeks. I hit level 90. I've finally got the eye level to queue up for some stuff the other day. So I've been doing some heroics and stuff like that. And I've gone through WoW Wiki, gone through a couple other websites, going through the Atlas loot in game and just trying to see like where all these changes are that we should be seeing from Cata into MoP.
Yeah, it was quite painful. I literally just finished raiding, I think, on Cata, and then I was like, I'll go and say goodnight to Go before I go to bed, and went on your stream, and you was running around Timeless Isle picking up dirt, and I was like, man, there's something wrong with him. And then ended up doing a couple of heroics with him, and there was definitely something wrong with him. But yeah, that was that. I don't even remember doing those heroics. Go, I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I fell behind. You were running through those dungeons so fast because I guess your monk has some decent gear, and the heroics were just piss easy for you. So I think I missed like the last boss or something because you just ran all the way to the end, and I was like, "Where's Scotty at?"
Yeah, just pumping.
I was doing so much on the Timeless Isle. It sucks. It's not coming out like phase 1. Like it comes out. What, phase 3 or 4? Something
it's the
later
last.
on.
It'll be the last phase.
The last one, yeah.
Have you done any Isle of Thunder? Because you like Isle of Thunder as well.
No, I'll go there after the show today.
Yeah, a lot of rares.
If there's more dirt, count me in.
Well, no. My favourite thing about Isle of Thunder is each week you can get a key to Lei Shen's palace, and then you do like a treasure hunt type thing. It's instanced. And there's loads of traps all over the place, and you have to try and open as many chests as you can.
I remember that, yeah.
In a time limit. It's actually really fun, and it's a good way to go and get stocked up on bonus rolls as well. It's
good. I remember getting all the bonus rolls from that, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That was always good to do.
Anyway, Willie, great to talk to you again, mate. It's been a while, and Bearbis, it's not been long enough. So we're for anyone who doesn't know, me and Bearbis raid together. So I love him really. He knows that. So we're going to talk about MoP. It's going to be a very Go's going to pretty much lead the episode because for anyone who was watching my stream last night, you probably know I'm pretty delicate today. So Go's going to do the majority of the heavy lifting. But he did mention at the start about we're looking for a name. So during the podcast, or even just like leave a comment, below on YouTube, if you've got a good idea for what this podcast should be called going forwards, it's got to be sick. It's got to be like so much. Like think how creative we was with our last podcast, so we called it Cata Chat. It's got to be almost as creative as that. Okay. But as always, obviously, any super chats, I mean, that's the best thing to do, really. Super chat your podcast name suggestions, and then they'll be up on screen anyway. Thought I'd plug that. Obviously, all subs and everything over on Kick, Twitch is always appreciated and goes towards supporting the podcast and keeping it going. And over to Go.
All right, I guess it's easy to start off with the level cap. Goes from 85 to 90, only 5 levels there. It didn't take me too long to level up, but it is triple XP on Stormforge. So a lot of new zones to go through. I didn't even have to go out of the Jade Forest, the first zone, to hit 90. I think I was 4 bars away by doing all the quests there. And I like that leveling pace. I know a lot of people enjoy their journey through and all that stuff and not moving on to the next zone until they've completed all the quests from the current zone they're in. I should have already gone to 86. I should have gone to Town Long Steps or something. But yeah, a lot of new zones that are really familiar to me because I somehow remember a lot of MoP. Out of all the classic expansions so far, this is the one that's bringing back the most nostalgia for me and why I'm the most excited for this one. But we got to say what we've been up to first real quick, Scott, before we get into the mist talk. So I'll let Willie take it away. What you've been up to, man? Are you doing some hardcore, some fresh classic, as Scotty calls it?
Oh boy, yeah, fresh. I imagine that's not going to get best reception around here. It's pretty much just been raid logging Cata at the moment. I've been doing Firelands, enjoyed it. The only criticism I'd have is, in fact, this could be a talking point for Mr. Pandaria later. Blizzard's obsession with saying, "Oh, it's an end of tier boss," needs to last at least 15 minutes, and I know there's a few of those in MoP. At least 2 that I know of, which I can't say I was a huge fan of. But anyway, doing that and the fresh servers, I've been making plenty of content for it on the side for the YouTube, but I sort of don't know what to do on it myself. When I played Classic the original time, the first time in 2019, I did everything I wanted to, so I haven't been sure what to do on that. And yeah, I've done hardcore twice as well. So aside from being on Cata at the moment, obviously MoP's still a fair bit away when we're talking about it, but yeah, just other games in the meantime.
Other games?
Yeah, I know.
What? A lot of people are playing like Black Ops. Are you playing any like FPSs or what are you playing?
Oh no, I've been on RuneScape.
Another
MMO,
like,
yeah.
Go from one old
MMO
game to an older one.
yeah, it's yeah, it actually is. I've played RuneScape before WoW, and I've been like, there's not too much going on in WoW at the moment. Back to RuneScape we go.
Fair enough. Barbus, what have you been up to? I know you've got a DK. You've been leveling up on Mancreek with us.
I have been raiding pretty much only on 2 of my 3 druids. I've been doing a 3rd raid occasionally. Mostly just the 1 raid I've done on them, maybe 2. But I really haven't been doing like a lot of raiding. It's been more of, I finally finished the quest hub for all of the new dailies in Molten Front today, a month after release. Playing another DK, a Warlock I finished yesterday, and a Shaman that I have at level 81 now. So I've been doing a lot of excess leveling while Fresh is going because I don't want to play Fresh. Not my cup of tea anymore.
So just Cata for you, like no other.
Just Cata.
Wow. No retail either.
No,
like nothing.
No retail. Just Cata. No other games either. Just I've been spending a lot more extra time with the girl, so just Cata.
All right, Scott. Do you remember what you've been doing lately in WoW? Or
I mean, I couldn't tell you what happened last night, but I can tell you other days if you'd like.
Oh, okay.
So on other days, I've been doing a lot of raiding. Obviously, I raid in several teams a week. So yeah, I raid. What do? I do one team on a Wednesday, another team on a Friday, another team on a Sunday, and then a GDKP every Saturday. So yeah, a lot of Firelands. And to be completely honest, as much as I don't really like talking too much about private servers on the podcast, but as everybody pretty much knows that knows me, obviously I'm hyped for the 18th of December because on the 18th of December it's Stormforge Season 3. So I've been doing some prep for that, and Stormforge Season 3 is a fresh MoP server, obviously, for those who don't know. So I've been doing a bit of MoP fresh prep, deciding what classes I'm doing. We've been putting multiple raid teams together, obviously ready for it. So we're going to be running two raids a week minimum, as in 2 separate raids. Quite honestly, that's about it. Yeah, like just a lot of cat raids and a bit of MoP prep. I'm trying to take it as easy as possible over the next few weeks, if I'm completely honest, because I know how hard I'm going to be going from the 18th of December until Christmas. At least for a few days anyway, where I'm probably going to be on like 21 hours a day getting all the characters to 90 that I want to 90. So I haven't got to think about it over Christmas. You know what I mean? I'm hyped for that. But yeah, in general, it's just been a lot of Cata raiding.
Fair enough.
What about you, Go? What have you been up to?
Oh, thank you. Just one raid in Cata for me. You, of all the raid leaders, gave me the legendary staff prio first in our 10-man group. So I've been making my way through that quest chain. I've got half of my senders, I think is what I'm on right now. Like the one that costs 1,000 that you need to get. So maybe next week I'll get the other 500 of that, and I don't know how long the quest chain is. I've been watching like Jordy's video as I go through it. So and then I pause it and then I go back to it. So I don't know what's coming for me after that, but I feel like I'm getting close, hopefully. Been doing Season of Discovery. I'm still one of those SOD players. There's not many of us, but proud SOD player here, ranking up to 14 with their honor system that they changed. And this is definitely the biggest grind, like a huge step up from any of the other rankings, going from 13 to 14. Takes 3 weeks, whatever you want to call it, and it's 418k honor. And I don't know how to like compare that to like current Cata, like how long it takes, but it probably took me a solid 12 hours like to get that amount of honor, when going from 12 to 13 might have taken like 3 or 4 like for a week. So definitely having to play a lot more like Arathi Basin, because that's the only way really to get honor unless you're world PvPing. Like AV is dead, Warsong's dead. It's just everybody spamming AB. Well, Sod's not dead.
How does it feel? Like, in all seriousness, how's Sod felt since Classic Fresh?
There's still pugs going on. Like if you wanted to do BWL, like I could probably hop on tonight and find a BWL group. I don't know how many different versions of BWL I would be able to find, because there's the different affixes or whatever. Like if I wanted to find a hard mode group, maybe I wouldn't be able to find that as a pug. But like the easier versions of BWL, yeah, I could probably hop on there and find that. AQ's coming out. I'll probably do the AQ 20, which is now AQ 10. I don't really want to do AQ 40, like not really interested in that. They didn't really get too much PTR, like assistance from players for that testing. And it went back up on the PTR. It's up right now, and I'm pretty sure nobody has logged on it since they put it back up, because they didn't announce it was coming. They were just like, oh yeah guys, PTR's live. If you find any bugs, get fucked. We're not gonna fix them because we're on holiday, but we'd appreciate your feedback on any bugs that you may find.
Enjoy.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I logged on it that night that it went back up, and there was 4 people on, and I was like, oh well, I guess I can't find a raid to help test because there's nobody on here. But yeah, that's about it. I'm still hype a little bit for SOD because it's way better than Classic. Going through Classic again, the fresh servers. I'm also same boat as you guys, not doing fresh, not doing hardcore, but SOD still has me kind of hooked because there have been so many great changes for it, and it's still Classic. It's not retail, and it gives me something to do outside of raid logging on Cata.
I'd sooner play SOD personally than Classic Fresh. If I was really, I don't know, I needed something else that wasn't Cata and wasn't MoP private servers, like it would be SOD. Because I still do think about it now and again. I'm like, can I level a character? You know, and I can't. I mean, it's the bottom line, but I am tempted by it occasionally. But yeah, not Classic Fresh. Unfortunately, if there's many Classic Fresh enjoyers either in the audience now or watching this back, you're not going to hear a great deal of positivity around that from me. Shocker, right?
Yeah, Scully's asking how the auction house is on SOD. I think the auction house has been fine. Like Flask are pretty cheap. It's like 17 gold for Flask of Supreme Power or something like that. Like very, very affordable, very easy to get consumes. Yeah. I don't know what else I've really bought off the auction house, but yeah, like auction house is pretty chill. I can go on there, do like a
Those
dungeon or
fire
something.
waters, though, those are freaking
yeah.
expensive.
I was farming firewater because firewater was what, $4.50 each, and I was like, in between my AB queues, I'd go up to Winter Spring, farm a couple firewater, post them on the auction house, and yeah, I was making some gold there.
Yeah, I can't believe they still make you teleport back to where you take the battleground from.
Oh, it was making me mad.
I'm so surprised this has never changed across any version of Classic. So surprised.
That and just not being able to queue like by pulling up the menu, like having to actually go to the battle master. Like I know it's classic, they want to keep the classic feel, but I mean, like, come on.
On the other hand, the problem is, like, if you allow people to do that, then they would gank world PvP spots and queue at PvP battlegrounds in between it. Battlegrounds will literally keep them from ganking, pretty much.
Yeah, because I'd be sitting in Blackrock Mountain while I was queuing.
Yeah, you bet you would. Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so anybody else remember anything that they've been doing they want to throw in there before we get into MoP? We all set? All right. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, we're going from 85 to 90. Not that long of a level grind, I don't think. If you had to put ballpark, Scott, how long do you think it's going to take people to go from 85 to 90? Do you think it's going to be a little bit faster maybe than Cata, about the same speed to get from 80 to 85?
Yeah, I'd say similar speed to what Cata is. The 89 to 90 feels like a bit of a slog. But yeah, I'd say similar speed. You're going to, without triple XP, like playing on a private server, you're going to go through the majority of the zones. And there is like certain quest hubs that you just don't want to miss as well. Like, for example, when you're up in Cunlai Summit, there's sort of a trial thing that you have to do up at Temple of the White Tiger, and you need to do that. Well, not necessarily while you're leveling, you could do it at 90, but you need to do it to be able to open the gate to then be able to get to the capital city. So like, yeah, you're gonna find yourself going all over the place. It might be a tad quicker, but it's gonna be similar in terms of how long. I do think a lot of people are just going to spam dungeons all the way. That's probably what we're going to do. It was just what we done in Cata for Cata launch as well. And the dungeons are particularly easy as well. It's not like the Cata dungeons are hard. They went with MoP. They very much went backwards more to sort of a Wrath of the Lich King design. Where you are like just completely cleaving through dungeons. Even like the AOE cap changes again. There's loads of changes that just make dungeons that much easier. So yeah, I reckon that will probably be the majority of people's go-to way. But there's also a lot of other ways that you can level now. Obviously I know we're going to touch on some of it, like pet battles. Obviously you can get XP from gathering in Cata anyway. But rares, like there's rares, like treasures that you can find that give like monstrous amounts of XP, and some of them are like rare spawns as well. And obviously, one of the most camped rares is going to be Kroll in Dread Wastes, because it drops a bind on account potion that is 300% XP.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
300%.
If you go there today, there'll be someone there camping it.
Oh, yeah, always.
Like forever. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say, like, if we was just to say expect it to be a similar sort of grind as 80 to 85 was, I think you're not going to be far wrong.
All right, there's a couple of just random stuff that I found while I was looking up what changes there were. So helm enchants removed. Scribes now make shoulder enchants. So if you have an inscription, you can now sell some shoulder enchants. The prime glyphs are removed, so now we only have major and minor. And the glyphs that I had for Druid, at least for balance, I didn't really, there was nothing that I was like, oh yeah, obviously I want to get this as a major glyph. So I don't know if anybody has any other knowledge of like what glyphs are coming out in MoP, but to me that whole system feels pretty lackluster for me.
Yeah, they're definitely less impactful.
They changed them that way. They changed them that way because prime glyphs were the impactful ones, and then they wanted your talents to feel more impactful than your actual glyphs. That's why they changed it that way.
There's a few glyphs which are really, like must-haves. But yeah, on the most part, they're just less impactful. Like a rep paladin, you can remove the range on exorcism, but it now cleaves, which is obviously just huge. You'll never play without it. So there's odd ones like that where it almost, you could see it as a bit of an outlier. But yeah, in general, there's not much to get excited about around glyphs anymore, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I think they just tried the system and I don't know. I don't think they're ever particularly exciting in the first place.
Yeah, true.
Apart from perhaps one or two of them, I don't know.
Yeah, they seem...
unless you're talking about Wrath feral changes for glyphs. That was freaking busted.
Yeah. That clear casting one, that was something.
My glyphs at this point seemed a lot better for PvP than PvE in MoP. So it's like, yeah, I can see that I can use a couple different ones there to help me in battlegrounds and arena and stuff. But I wanted something like huge for like raiding, like a big raiding glyph, and I don't have that. But yeah, as Berbers was saying, talent system that has been changed, and those seem kind of tricky. Like there's some tiers that seem really good, and some other tiers that are pretty poor as well. And I can't choose like my last tier. Like you get one every 15 levels. So you have 6 different tiers, 3 choices each. I don't know if you want to pull one up on the screen, Scotty, or
it's already on. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, and to me it feels like the runes in SOD. Like you have a shoulder rune, you have 3 options. You can choose what shoulder rune you want to have, and to me that's like the level 15 rune slot or level 15 talent slot. You have 3 choices, and one might be for each spec, depending on if you're a hybrid, or one might be for PvP, a DPS tank if you're like a melee or something like that. So the talent system doesn't feel too bad. Like I know there's a lot of people that are worried about the talent system change because it is pretty drastic. But for me, all of my talents from Cata are pretty much baseline. Like they're still there. I just didn't have to choose them because they're going to be, it was a mandatory choice for the most part in Cata anyways. So at least now I've got a couple of choices that I can make depending on what I'm doing in the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people see the rework to the talent system and Mr. Pandaria and say, oh, you're taking everything away. But when you actually look at it, they've basically made the choices for you, and they've just put all the stuff your spec needs into your spellbook. And they made lives easier for themselves by restricting how many things you can pick in the talent tree. But you are kind of always picking the same things in the talent tree anyway, so...
Yeah, it's there's you never respect the
builds and that. Yeah, no, never, ever.
Whereas
like
that's why I like this.
Warlock, I had 2 builds. Wrath, I had 1. Cata, I have 1.
Yeah. Whereas this you'll change a lot. This you'll change literally on an encounter by encounter basis. Like I personally, I like this style of talent system. As in, I do think it gets you to think a bit more about what you're going to use on each fight. But my major negative when it comes to it is it sucks when you're leveling. It feels like you're waiting so long. Every 15 levels you get one. And, while you're leveling, not many of the tiers are actually that useful anyway. As in, like, when you get to 60 and you get your CC talent, it's like, well, I'm just running around like two-shot and stuff. What do I care about that for? So now all of a sudden you're going from 15 levels to get a talent to 30 levels before you actually get something that's worth using, That's my only negative. But actually, in terms of end game, when you're raiding or when you're doing heroics or whatever, I like them.
Yeah, I think the leveling's definitely valid. Same with the ability working Cata. It's like you don't get, I don't know, like if Feral do rip to like level 40 something or whatever it was. It just felt like you got some abilities really late on. So I guess it carries on being like that.
Well, yeah, a lot of it like that for Feral Druids and MoP too, because there's a lot of talents or abilities that you get pretty early in Cata, but you get them later in MoP, and it kind of makes it feel a little bit worse. But I guess you just have to adapt to the play style.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look back to Classic, the kind of weren't abilities. There felt like there was more you can do than you got to play in the game. It's like, okay, just auto attack, job done.
It feels bad for me because I still don't get Hurricane until like the 40s again. So it's like no AoE for the third expansion, the fourth expansion, whatever you want to call it. And like I was trying to level up as a feral tank, and you don't even get like an AoE as a feral tank until 22 or 24, I think is when you get swipe. So I was doing a dead mine
24.
24, yeah. I was trying to do a dead mines run, and I don't have like a shout either to like get any threat on anything. So I have a mage running ahead of me, arcane explosioning, like grabbing every mob he could, and I'm like, dude, I have to like wait a GCD to maul this guy to whatever the other melee thing is. Another one.
Back in the good old days.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. So I'm like, all right, new plan. If I level up a fresh tune in MoP as a druid, I've got to play like Resto, like so I can at least feel like I'm doing something for the first 25 levels, and then maybe I'll switch to feral, and then once I can get some AoE, go boomkin. But yeah, we auto learn spells now. You don't have to go to your trainer, so that's a weird system because I would kind of forget that I was getting spells that way. So it's like I would ding a level and get an ability, and then a couple levels later I'd be like, wait, I thought I was supposed to have Starfall, and I did have Starfall. So that's a cool system. I do like having it auto learn. You don't have to spend gold anymore, so saving a little bit of cash while you're leveling up.
Yeah, it's just a pain in the ass going back when you're like, you know, midway through questing and you're like, oh, I really want this ability, and then you have to stop leveling to go and get it. I mean, you know, we're past that. We're lazy when we're this far in Classic. You know, we just want we want all the quality of life.
It'll save Scott some time actually leveling.
It will also suck for me because that's like my time to like go and make another drink. That's the only downside. That actually means that I've got to be doing more leveling. Yeah,
50-minute flight paths. We can wander off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be doing a lot of leveling in the pre-patch because I'll definitely be getting 2 monks to 85 pretty quick. So I'm sure I'll get to enjoy that system.
There's another system that I think that they can pull ahead and give it to us in Cata, and I would accept it any single day if it came out tomorrow. That'd be the perfect time for it to come out, and that's AoE looting. I thought that it was coming out in Wrath or in Cata, but it didn't come out in Cata, and I was like, oh man, fuck, it was MoP. So we'll be getting AoE looting, and yeah, that can't come soon enough. I don't think there's a downside to AoE looting, but I'm sure somebody on some Reddit is going to be like, AoE looting, that ruins the game for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be many arguments against AoE looting. Let's be fair.
Daily quest cap removed. I know back in the day, people were making like, you know, the most efficient 25 daily quests that you could do to make the most amount of gold. And like Wrath in particular, I can remember. But now, no daily quest cap.
Needs it in MoP. It's world of daily craft anyway. I mean, there's ridiculous amounts of dailies. That's going to be one major... I don't want to say major problem, but someone said it earlier on in chat about warbands. I mean, that's one thing I'd also love to see in MoP, is if they put, warband... like turning a reputation into more renown, because there's a lot of dailies and there's a lot of reason to do them, and I mean, not everybody enjoys going around and doing dailies every day, you know, and actual PvE rewards and upgrades being sort of put behind reputation where you have to go and do dailies. So it's a big part of MoP. Like, dailies are a big part of MoP, and it's how, you know, when you get bonus rolls, which I'm sure we'll touch on soon, you get lesser charms from doing dailies as well. Don't get me wrong, you can get them in other ways, just literally just grinding or pet battles. Like, there's other ways, but just smashing through dailies so you're getting the lesser charms and you're getting rep it's kind, unless they make a change, it's kind of gonna just be a must for the majority of people that want to raid. It's only really relevant early on, but
All right, we got to talk about the new race, I guess, first, and then the new class. But we got the Pandarian race. Anybody? Oh shit! I forgot. There's some background between Willie and Pandas. I totally forgot about that. This was not intentional, Willie. I'm sorry.
I already know what's going to happen.
No. Anybody changing to like a Pandarian that are going to level it up on pre-patch, or are you guys sticking to your old races?
Druids can't be pandas.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably still healing, so I don't think you're Panda Paladins anytime soon, do you?
Nope.
Well, I will be doing a panda.
I'm not sure.
I will have a panda. I'm gonna, like I said, I'll be leveling 2 monks during the pre-patch. One's gonna be an orc monk, and my other one's gonna be a panda monk. And I'll be honest with you, because I hate the panda starting zone so much, I'll probably just do that one first, just so I feel like the pain's out of the way.
All right. Well, Scully, the racials are 100% bonus stats from food. You get a bonus 15 cooking skill. You know, every race has their what's it called? Their gathering skill, like bonus. Twice as much rested experience. That's pretty nice. You can make your panda log out and get rested faster than everybody else. 50% less fall damage. Makes sense. They're fluffy. They're big. They bounce. And then Quaking Palm is an incapacitate for 4 seconds. I don't know what the cooldown is, probably like 2 minutes, but pretty sick, like CC, I would say, for PvP.
Yeah, and the double food buff's lovely. Yeah, I mean, the panda racials are pretty, they're solid. I quite like panda monks. You know, 100% we'll have a panda monk, but yeah, I've leveled so many pandas that the starting zone I hate it. It's the same with DKs. I hate the DK starting zone like with a passion, and it's the one thing that ever puts me off of doing one. So yeah, just the one panda for me.
All right, and with the pandas come the monk. So Scotty's going to be playing a monk. Either of you two plan on leveling up a monk? I'm not a big melee guy myself. I could, I guess, be a Mistweaver and throw some heals, but no monk for me.
I don't think so for me. For playing healer, then Holy Pally just kind of is good forever. So I guess I'll just play that now, pretty much.
I feel like Bearbis would be a monk tank. I forget what that spec is called for monks. Brewmaster, yeah. Any Brewmaster?
Yeah, I'm thinking about leveling up a Brewmaster just to have another tank. I mean, I have every class as a tank, and having another one wouldn't be a bad idea.
They are a leather wearer, so they're gonna fight your feral druids for tank loot anyways. So you're gonna have to decide.
That's okay. Our 10-man's not gonna have a Brewmaster anyways.
All right. What do they use? Energy /chi, Scott. Like, what do their energy spenders look like? How does that work? Is it kind of like a rogue?
Yeah, it's your chi builders. So jab, for example. But yeah, it's a balancing act. You know, you're never wanting to cap energy, but you're also wanting to never cap chi. You know, so that's literally the whole goal as a Windwalker. But then again, obviously the same for Mistweaver. You know, as healing, for example, you've got 2 ways to heal. You've got just general soothing mist, uplift, renewing mist, uplift, where you're using normal healing spells. But like when you're channeling soothing mist, you've got a chance of gaining chi, and then you spend that chi on more powerful heals like enveloping mist. But obviously, as a Mistweaver, you can like do damage to heal as well. So as melee, so a bit of like a melee disc priest. And I'll be honest with you, they're super strong. And when I say super strong, I mean like in dungeons being able to, you know, actually put out really good damage. So I was doing some practice runs for the Fresh MoP server at the end of the month, and in no heirlooms, obviously not using any looms. Just I went in our RFC at level 10, and as brewmaster, I could solo the trash, but really, really slow. Like I was having to kite it all. As Mistweaver, I could stand there and literally just kill 3 mobs and just take it to the face and never worry about mana. Like Mistweaver is super strong. And when we was on season 2, Chunk was doing a Mistweaver monk, and literally all the way through dungeons, he was top damage all the time, just by running along, just pressing spinning crane kick. It's like
Nice.
it's insane. Like Monk's gonna be very much like middle of the pack when it comes to everything. So it's not like, oh, just because it's the shiny new class, Windwalker's going to be absolutely blasting. Like it's not. It's very, very middle of the pack in terms of damage. And the same with healing. It's not the strongest healer. Like Resto Shaman is by far the strongest healer in MoP. Like as in, it's not even close. So if like you wanted to play the most overpowered healer, Resto Shaman is the way. But Mistweaver's like great. The thing what Mistweaver really lacks is its sort of healing toolkit in raids is not amazing. It's got revival, which is a nice big sort of instant heal on everyone that removes poisons and that. But like that's it. It's that instant heal once you've used it. That's all your cooldown's gone. Where if you got Resto Shamans that bring bloody like Stormlash totem for a DPS cooldown. They've got Healing Tide totem, Spirit Link, Ancestral Guidance. They've just got so many big cooldowns that they can like just chain whenever they want to use them. So I would say Monk in general, I love it, and as I say, I'll be maining 2 monks. One will be Windwalker / Brewmaster, the other one will be Mistweaver / Windwalker. But I'm under no illusion that I'm going to be the best person in the raid. Do you know what I mean? There'll be a few fights where it will be competitive, like single targets particularly strong for Windwalker. But it's also quite a high skill class. It's not one that you can just go on and just be good at it. It is actually quite a challenging class to play, like to do well.
Fair enough. All right, we've got all the zones. I was going to list all the zones, but there's 7 new zones. The thing that has felt kind of bad for me is not being able to fly in Pandaria yet at 85. In Cata, we could fly around like everywhere because it was a lot of old zones, like Mount Hyjal, you could just fly around. And now we're going to be back to stuck on the ground until we're level 90. That's felt bad.
It's
Like
it's only gonna feel worse, and I think it's actually gonna be one that definitely needs addressing from Blizzard, because believe it or not, like Tomb of Cold Weather Flying, for example, where your ults can then fly once you've got a max level character, that doesn't exist in MoP. 85 to 90, no matter whether it's your first character or 20th character, you're still going to be on foot.
Yeah,
and it's horrible.
Crazy that. Yeah.
Tomb of Panda Flying or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, it would need adding, in my opinion. It's already, without sounding negative, because everyone knows that I am like hyped for MoP, I can't wait, but it is a rather unfriendly version of the game. So to make it, to make it a little bit less unfriendly, there's some of the things that would help that they need to do. Ways to increase the legendary quest line, as in speed for ults. Add in, a Tomb of Panda Flying, would be another one. Warband for reputation would just be absolutely amazing. And there were some things that was added later on down the line that I'd like to think are going to be in place, because we'll be on a 5.4.8 client. So like you can get bonus reputation for your first heroic of the day, and you can pick what rep that is. But again, that wasn't added until later, so I'm hoping that they don't see that as a catch-up mechanic that they actually add in a later phase. Like having that in from the beginning would be like mega useful as well. So yeah, I mean, I know we was talking about flying and went on to every old unfriendly system in the game, but it's one of those where, like you'll have it in your chat, you'll have it in on YouTube videos, whatever, where someone will say like, is it too late to start Cataclysm? Because Firelands is out, they're like, is it too late to start? And my answer when it comes to Cata, or when it comes to Wrath, or when it was TBC, was no, it's never too late. Like there's so many catch-up mechanics, like gear-wise, that's in place that it's never too late. Just create a character. In a few days of being level 85, you'll be geared and in Firelands. Like, it's that easy. Whereas with no changes and it being MoP, if it's Siege of Orgrimmar at the time, and someone says, is it too late? Even if it's not too late, it's going to be bloody painful. With no changes. But that's just unfortunately the one big downside to MoP is if you take a break for a decent amount of time and then go back, it can be a bit rough.
So what about the Grand Commendation, Scott? I know you've done a lot of MoP, and I personally haven't done like any MoP. I played for a little bit when it first came out, but there's Grand Commendations that are on the rep vendors. Do you think those are going to be on day one, or?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think there'll be any. The only reputation not add-on, but the only reputation advantage I would imagine will be in from day one, outside of if you can do the first daily heroic gives rep, will be when you unlock double rep for your whole account when you hit. I'm pretty sure it's revered with each one, but it might be exalted.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple that are from like friendly, but it's like a 50 gold buy to get those or something pretty easy.
Yeah, and you're not the downside to that, or well, not downside, but most people are not going to do the reps on more than one character. Like most people, there'll be some people that do. Don't get me wrong, but like anglers, you're going to do the anglers rep on probably what the anglers is obviously the bloody Nat Pagal reputation where you can get a little raft. Like most people are going to do that once, and it's not actually that bad. Because you can go and fish rares up daily that you hand in as well as doing quests for them. But then when you unlock the double reputation buff for your account, like who's going around and doing the anglers again? Like, what is the? Why would you ever do that? Whereas if they add it so the all reputations were actually just account wide, then that removes less reason for doing dailies, because each time you level a character, for example, you'll be like, oh, I'll make sure I go and smash those quests out because I'm only honoured or whatever, and that would go towards the rep for all of your characters. So again, but pretty much like the warband system, the renown system in retail. I think MoP needs something that drastic to at least encourage some of that stuff to be done, because most people just want. I can't speak for everyone, but a big majority of players, I would say, play Classic for end game content. It's for the raids, it's for the dungeons. It's it's not for doing dailies every day for about 6 months. Yeah.
I always thought it's been pretty definitely raid centric, or like raid login the whole way through so far. But I just hope they put the staff towards it, put the dev time towards it. Like, something I wanted to bring up is the way they've approached Cata really is not very encouraging whatsoever, if I'm honest.
I feel you.
You remember the state it launched in? There was you'd open your professions tab and it'd say Divine Storm. It was just an absolute mess. And then bosses in tier 11, which were kind of, I don't know, like pets not working properly on Alakir and stuff like that. Even if it was like that back in the day, it's just they left it like that forever. It's like they get it out, they get it working, they say, okay, we're doing something else now.
Yeah. The race to world first being scuffed because if people went to Magma first and it was flopping the wrong way, then they just got fucked. And
so it's like, what? Unlucky. If only we knew that from the testing, the PTR. Oh wait, we did.
Yeah.
And then it carried on for several more months as well.
See, I 100% agree. Obviously, I was very vocal about the state of launch, the state of the beta, the amount of stuff that didn't work on the beta all the way through it. And then, within an hour of launch, they've, added up hot fixes and stuff that's then fixed bugs that we'd been crying out on the beta to be fixed since day one. It was really sloppy, but you'd like to think that a portion of that was because of sod and the amount of work they was putting into Season of Discovery. Where they've kind of got away with it, like in my opinion at least, is for as bad as Cata's remembered, you know, the amount of people that remember Cata for being a terrible expansion and should have never have come out, you know, in Classic, it was actually still pretty good. There weren't too much where they needed to intervene, you know, outside of bugs, of course. They're like, yeah, bosses shouldn't be bugged, you know, classes should play properly, etc. But actually, in terms of the content that comes with Cata, the biggest thing was always going to be the speed at which we go through it, and it just needs to be decently paced. Whereas with MoP is remembered in the complete opposite way. I think a lot of people remember MoP for it being absolutely amazing, whereas I think MoP is amazing, but it needs a lot more work from Blizzard than Cata ever did. Just because I think there are a lot of systems that a large portion of the classic player base will kind of be expecting, and as minor as being able to fly in Pandaria on your ults. Now, that sounds really minor, but that is kind of, I think, something that we would just expect that to exist. So I think there's a lot of sort of minor systems that they could do such a fantastic job of MoP if they wanted to, and flex raiding would be an example. You know, they added flex raiding in Siege of Orgrimmar, but that kind of system would be absolutely phenomenal if it was in all the way through the game. It was literally one of the most raved about systems that was added, to the point where obviously it kind of became the future of raiding. You know, scalable raid sizes and that. So, you know, like that could be such a big win if they just had flex raiding in from day one. Sure, they've got to duplicate all the items that come and add a flexible, you know, raid item level for each tier. But I mean, that shouldn't be that hard, should it really?
Well, you never know. I don't know. I just hope it gets the attention it deserves, basically. Where changes are needed, because stuff like having to level every single character without flying sounds kind of crazy. I had to remember doing that back in the day. And you know, like on every single character, you're like, oh, need to do the quest for the the Veil of Eternal Blossoms, otherwise you can't get to your capital, which is moderately inconvenient, to say the least.
Need to go around.
That's one thing I'm not looking forward to leveling alts. Like, I'll still probably level alts for MoP, but if they don't bring in a system, I'm probably not going to level that many.
Yeah, I think alt raiding's been huge throughout Classic, so if there's something that obviously stops people from doing that or wanting to do that, then yeah, should probably be looked at in some capacity.
Another big system change is with our loot. So right now, you in Cata, you get a piece of loot, you have to get the gem for it, you have to enchant it, you have to reforge it, you have to transmog it. Well, now in MoP, you're going to have to also upgrade it. So I know at one point they were talking about how having all these systems felt kind of bad for the players, and it already feels kind of bad right now in Cata. So I don't know how I really feel about upgradable loot, but I know even in phase 1, we're going to have some pieces pre-raid that we can get and upgrade from, I don't know, it's like 4 eye levels per upgrade, and some items you can upgrade once, some you can upgrade twice. But Scotty, like, what do you use to upgrade the gear? Is it just like Valor points, Justice points, gold?
Yeah, it does evolve over time. But to begin with, it's just Valor. It's just another thing. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've got no real emotions about it. It's like it doesn't really matter. Like, if it's there, it's there. Great. If it's not, it's not. It's like it's what everybody's gonna do anyway. Like, no one's gonna go, oh, I'm not upgrading my gear. It's just something else for you to do with your gear. The only thing I see it where I see it as a positive addition is that it keeps Valor more sort of valuable for longer, if you like. You know, whereas like at the moment, with how high the rolling Valor cap is in Cata, for example, you probably get capped now. You can pretty much buy everything that you want from the Valor vendor, and then, well, there's no need for it anymore, is there? Like, you're not even going to stock up on it for a following phase because it gets reset. So it kind of keeps it keeps Valor relevant for longer. But outside of that, yeah, I'm very indifferent on it. It doesn't matter. The biggest system with loot is like what Anthony's just said in chat, with like Warforged loot or Thunderforged loot, you know, where they add elements of RNG, you know, where you can proc Thunderforged loot that will be higher item level than the regular version of it. That is actually, I'll be completely honest, that's one system which I think on paper sounds fantastic, but actually in practice it's one of the worst things that's ever been added to raiding, because like it's already there's already enough RNG. Just think now in Firelands, you know, like if there's that one trinket or one weapon that, you know, in the last 4 resets you've done full clears and just not seen drop, or not seen enough of them drop. So it's like now not only do you need to worry about that item dropping, it's now you preferably want a Thunderforged version of it. So that's always been one thing where I kind of, well, I think they even knew it was a mistake, because, you know, later on down the line it was never added back in again. So yeah, but that's probably, if we was going to talk about one of the new sort of loot systems in MoP, and it being negative, I've got no problem with the item upgrades. As I say, it's just something else you go and do with your items. Whereas Thunderforged and Warforged, it feels great when they drop and you get one, but at the same time, it's just adding just more RNG to an already heavily RNG loot system.
Well, they still have RNG loot in Firelands. Like, I don't like that system whatsoever. The random roll items are just, the chance of getting you the perfect roll is just so bad. And because not only does it have to drop, but it has to drop with the perfect roll.
It felt bad in tier 11, and then it felt bad on the incursion, or no, what is it, infernal vendor, buying the satchels and then like spending 12 of the currency and then it not being the right one, and then having to queue back up for another heroic. It's just, I went down that loop for, I think it took me 8 purchases for my belt or something like that to get the right of the undertow. And I was just like, fuck, man, like I already did the raid so many times, never saw it drop. Now I got to do these heroics over and over again, even though I'm valor capped, just to try to get this piece.
Yeah, it was a crazy. I mean, at Firelands, I started a 359 ring on my paladin. I just never got one.
Yeah.
Crazy system, just making loot become literally RNG with the tertiary stats. But yeah, I guess Mr. Pandaria is kind of where the whole forging began. There was RNG in WoD as well, with like multi-strike and stuff, and then obviously in Legion they went a bit crazy with everything. But yeah, it was kind of the start of it, and people over time grew to not like it. But I guess it's still the most tame version, because it's like +8 item levels.
6, I think.
Is it 6? Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it feels great when they drop, and the fact that you can get them from bonus rolls as well. You know, you can bonus roll a Thunderforged item or a Warforged item, but yeah, it's just an additional complication to the loot system, which again, it will be in. It's not like I'm not lobbying for it to not be added to the game, because like I say, when one does drop, obviously it's great, but yeah, they kind of. The whole loot system is like kind of wildly different to Cata, where you've got Thunderforged gear, you've got bonus rolls, you've got item upgrades, you know, you've got certain like valor items being gated behind reputation, you've got, you know, it's really, and then the same happens, it don't change, you know, it's the same from launch all the way through, because when like Isle of Thunder opens, you know, you've got to do that reputation to be able to the reputation for the raid. You've got 2 reputations. You've got one that's in the raid and then one that's like the island, and you know, there'll be things from those reputations that you'll need the reputation standing with to then use valor points on, which, you know, it's kind of not been like that ever. You know, you can think of like the Firelands rep, for example. You know, Avengers Vigil, you raid, you get rep, and then you can buy items like with gold, which is then more of a bonus for the reputation, if you like. Whereas when you've actually got to get the reputation and then spend valor to get the items, it's always struck me as a bit of a weird way of doing raid reputations. But it's just one of them things. As I say, like MoP is, in my opinion, it'll be the best classic expansion to date when it comes, but it's not without its issues. Which Blizzard, that's where they can step in and make sensible changes to more suit the pace of the game. How quick we're going to get through it, or they need to be a bit more hands-on with MoP, because some of the systems just won't be well received.
Well, speaking of the bonus roll system, I've got some lesser charm of good fortune, which I think you change that into a normal charm. I don't know how that works. I don't remember, to get your bonus roll. And then your bonus roll, how does that work too, Scotty? Because I know there's some personal loot there where it's your bonus roll is the only personal loot that's in MoP, or is there other personal loot?
Well, you farm the lesser charms, which you just get from dailies, from grinding, from everything, and then you hand them in for elder charms, which are the big coins, and you can get 3 a week.
Okay.
That does change over time, so you get like Mogu runes of fate in a later phase. So you can't just stock up on bonus rolls for a future raid here. But the old bonus rolls become easier to get. So like you can literally go in that sort of puzzle area, when you got the key to Lei Shen's palace, for example, and you can get 20, in one run. So you got enough bonus rolls like for the entire week. So the older ones become easier to get. But yeah, you literally, it's in MoP where you can change your loot specialization. So you could be doing LFR and you're in there as a healer, but you could change your loot specialization to DPS, and then when you use your bonus roll, it will go off your loot specialization that you've set it as. And yeah, it's just a chance at getting an item for your spec from that boss, and it's as simple as that. I kind of like the bonus loot roll system, because it is just any extra chances to get gear is obviously nice. And if you think like across the 10-man raid team, for example, being able to get 30 extra chances at loot a week between the whole raid team, it's solid. It's not too much of a grind, to actually get the coins is not, it's not much of an issue at all.
But there is still loot that drops in the raid too, that everybody rolls on. It can be loot mastered and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that side of the loot system's exactly the same. This is just more like me, for example. The fist weapons that drop from the totem boss in Mogasham Vaults. I can almost say 100% that every week I'm going to be using one of my bonus rolls on that boss. You'll plan out, you'll know which bosses you're going to, like ones that drop trinkets. You'll have those ones that you're going to be always using your rolls on until you've got them. And then again, once the following tier launches, so once Throne of Thunder comes out and you can just get like 20 of these a week, you'll be using them just to gear off specs or whatever when you run in the older content. It's a decent system, but it is, it's adding even more complication, I suppose, to the loot.
So speaking about older tiers, do you think we're actually going to go into the older tiers with all the new systems that they've been doing since Wrath? Because after the new phase came out, it just negated the entire previous phase.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't done a single tier 11 raid because of the Inferno dungeons.
It depends what they do, don't it? I mean, obviously, you've kind of not got a choice. If you're on an alt and you need to get... So, one of the first collecting quests for the legendary quest line, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit anyway, is to get 10 sigils of power and 10 sigils of wisdom. So, like, legendary items from the bosses. Now, unless they make it so you can get those from doing the new MoP version of Inferno dungeons, people will still be going back just to literally do the legendary quest lines. But obviously you're going to have LFR, so most people would probably be just doing it in LFR anyway. But yeah, it's exactly the same. Nothing changes. There becomes less reason to go back to do old content, the same way there ain't much reason to go and do tier 11 now. But at the same time, the one thing that will keep people doing it, if Blizzard don't make any changes, is the legendary quest line.
All right, another system that I just got to do for the first time in a long time was scenarios. And the only thing I really picked up that I got from that was a couple of valor points. I didn't really see much drop from the scenarios, so I don't know what the purpose of those were, but they're 3-player little mini dungeons, and I didn't really know what to do when I went in there either. It was kind of weird. I just got queued up, hopped in there, and I was like, all right, what do I do? I opened up my mini map, and you can kind of see some objectives on your mini map, but they seemed weird, Scotty. So like, what are we supposed to get from these scenarios? Are we supposed to get like pre-raid loot as like right after launch before the raid, or like is that just a way to get justice points or valor points?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. So some of the scenarios are actually quite fun. I mean, the fact that you went in and you didn't know what to do just tells me that you didn't read. Because I mean, you've got a very clear objective of it telling you what to do on like the right hand side of your screen. So if you'd have read that, it would have told you what to do.
That's where Questy was. Questy overlaid that. So yeah, fuck add-ons, man. I shouldn't have downloaded the add-on.
Why are you using add-ons, Go? You don't normally use add-ons.
I use an add-on. Look what happens.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, they're an alternative way to get gear, and they become an alternative way to get rep as well. But obviously, at launch you only have normal, so just normal scenarios, which are kind of a bit face roll. But you get a cache, a box at the end, which has got a chance to have an item in. But there's kind of, one of the best ones to do is the like arena. Like you got Ring of Blood, you got Crucible of Carnage. Where you get like a fairly decent entry level weapon. There's one of those as well. That's a scenario, which that will probably be the one that the majority of people do. It will be to do that to get a 450 eye level weapon, I believe it is, and obviously everybody can get a weapon from doing it. When they add heroic scenarios much further down the line, then obviously you're doing your daily, because the first one you do has got an epic chest at the end, where you've got a chance of getting an item from it, not in the as in you get one in your bag. But yeah, they're kind of just filler content. Like I wouldn't. It's not something that. It's not like Delves. Delves in retail where like it was a staple way to actually be able to get geared up for like M+ and raids and stuff. This is more just like extra, very casual, friendly content, which I think is a good thing. Like I genuinely think like having just extra filler content for the more casual player to go in and do. I don't see anything wrong with it, but yeah, as a serious end game raider that's doing heroic raids, outside of getting the achievements, you're not really going to be doing many scenarios.
What was cool was it was me and 2 other DPS that did it too. It's not like it's 1 tank, 1 healer, 1 DPS. Like it can be a mixture of any classes and specs and stuff. I like that. Yeah,
you'll get lured into a false sense of security when it comes to the normal scenarios, where you're like, oh yeah, we can just queue and it's fine. If we've got triple DPS, if we've got a healer and 2 DPS, like it don't matter. But when you're actually doing the heroic scenarios and you're like under geared and you're doing them to genuinely hope that you get an item at the end of them, yeah, they're not quite that. Any role is welcome friendly. As in, we had like me, Chunk, and Lee, I think maybe. And we was doing one of the heroic scenarios when we was freshly dinged, and we could not complete it. Like literally, we couldn't finish it. And obviously, we're not complete dribblers, but we never had a healer, and it was literally just killing the last boss in there was practically impossible without a healer and being undergeared and the scenario being heroic. So they do actually they give a decent bit of a challenge when we get the heroic versions. But yeah, the normal ones are just like, just go in and just roll your face across your keyboard.
Yeah, I think they were just there mainly for the story, really. Like, this is probably why they didn't do them again. You go in there, you see the story, you're like, oh, okay. And then you don't really do them again that much. And there were so many of them as well. The scenarios, I remember there being absolutely loads of them. And yet the only one I did most of the time was you do your daily battle on the high seas, get your Valor in about 5 minutes or whatever, and then that was it for them pretty much.
Yeah.
Outside of experiencing them once or twice.
Well, we get a lot of new dungeons, but then we also get some revamped dungeons that we've seen before. So today I did a heroic Scarlet Monastery or Scarlet Halls. So they've kind of combined the graveyard with I don't remember the other one, Cathedral. And then library and armory are kind of combined too. It doesn't make sense. It was like immersion breaking because they don't really line up like they do in the monastery itself. Like getting from one to the other one, I was like, wait, this hallway shouldn't be here. It was like The Shining. I was like, this hotel doesn't make sense. Like, what is going on? But they changed those dungeons, and you can also have them in heroic versions at level 90. But the lower level dungeons were changed too. So the Sholo got changed, the Scarlet Monastery ones, and RFC got changed. And RFC is pretty streamlined. I went in there low level, soloed it all, just ran through there. It was kind of nice. There's no little like side things that you used to be able to go around. Nobody ever did anyways. But Sholo, pretty quick, pretty easy. If you guys could pick another dungeon that they could have revamped, would you want to see them pull something from like SOD and give us like a BFD like raid to level up, or like a Nomer raid or anything like that? I know they don't have the dev time for it, but
I love the absolute lack of enthusiasm from any of us there. It's like,
no,
not
we
really.
just want to level up.
No,
And I'm just thinking about doing dead mines in Cata and what they revamped that to, and I'm like, maybe not.
yeah. Just leave the shit alone.
Just maybe not.
Oh, but all the
I mean, they did streamline Nomergon a little bit, but like it's still. Even for a SOD raid, it was still pretty long.
All right, fine. Leave the dungeons alone. I hear you guys loud and clear. New raid. All right, let's talk about the new raid for tier, is it 13? 12, 14.
14.
Tier 14. It looks like there's going to be a bunch of bosses. It's what, 16 total bosses? Am I seeing that right? You got Terrace of the Endless Spring has 4, Heart of Fear has 4 or 6. Mogushen Vaults has 6. That's a lot of bosses. It kind of feels like tier 11 did in Cata. Like we had 3 raids, a lot of bosses to choose from.
Weren't they separated out a little bit too?
Yeah, they weren't all there at launch. It was just Mogushen Vaults at launch, which I don't know whether they'll do that this time round or not.
I think it's a good way of progression, just to give everybody, a couple weeks of one raid tier, a couple weeks of the more bosses, and maybe a few weeks of all 3 of them together, just so that people can progress through them.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that they're a bit spaced out because it is a jump in eye level as well. So you've got, I can show you. You've got like the first boss, for example. We'll just look at heroic. Like the first boss in Mogushen Vaults is 502 gear, whereas then Heart of Fear, which is the same tier, the first boss on heroic is 509. So it's a little bit of a step up, and I believe Terrace is the same as Heart of Fear. Heroic 509, yeah, but you can get heroic elite gear as well by doing like the hard mode version of the boss. But yeah, it's not only is it a step up, when you go into Terrace as well, it's also like as you progress through the legendary quest line, you need Char of Fear. So that kind of makes sense that Mogushen Vaults is, I'd say, out for a good probably 4 or 5 resets, in my opinion, before we then get the next tier of content. And it makes it feel better anyway that way, surely. When you start it, when you've not just got everything that you're burning through, no life in it for the first couple of weeks, when you're just getting a new raid each time, it's going to make each new raid that comes just feel a bit more exciting than being bombarded with loads of bosses all at once.
I kind of like that, but you're saying the first raid is going to be at, like, we can level up to 90 and then immediately go into vaults? Or
I doubt they'll do that.
Is that how it was originally, though?
I
Probably
think it was a delayed release of the raids, because it came out and then the next week was the first raid.
Okay, so there's a little gap.
there was a little bit of a gap between leveling and the first raid. That much I do remember, because like that's where I was actually like I started playing and then I just quit the week after that.
Yeah,
I think it'd be sweet if that raid was open right away, and then have the other raids delayed, like not even 4 weeks. You know, have Volt out immediately on launch, and then have the other 2 raids out 2 weeks after launch.
I think they should keep it so that the way that we have been doing it, where we have a little bit of time to gear up to do those raids, like they have been doing for everything for Classic.
Yeah, I don't think they'd change that. Honestly, I do see it being a global raid opening on a Thursday. Like, yeah, I don't see that formula change anytime soon.
From vanilla to TBC was a little bit different though. Like all of your raid gear from Nax, you were still wearing in the time that you actually did level 70 raids. Like that was pretty straightforward. But the rest of this is like you need a little bit of extra gear and a little bit extra time to get into those new raids.
Nah, I said give the sweats something to play for once.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I think giving the sweats a little bit less time, that just means that the content will be more fun for those people longer, maybe.
Yeah, I'd love to see people going into a raid under geared and struggling.
I'd do
being
it.
able to prep for a couple of weeks and then go in there and just face roll the shit.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, I think they'll delay it. Pretty much.
Yeah.
They've delayed every raid at the start of every expansion. They delayed stuff in TBC, like they split up tier 4 and 5.
I'm just gonna grab some ice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll delay it in some way or another. Terrace and stuff will probably come later, because it is an item level jump as well, and you have the legendary questline in there as part of it, and the shard touch weapons and the gem and all that stuff. I remember. I haven't played MoP in a while, but I remember little bits of it. Yeah, I think they'll split them out somehow. I'm pretty sure.
All right, well, Scotty,
Yeah, I think
with
the cadence, it's going to be a lot better. So in the way that we're experiencing raids now, because they still kind of do the cadence for the Tolbarad raid. Like it's not out until a week after raid's out. So like being able to get the extra gear from the raid and then going and get like more gear from another raid in a delayed manners, it's just going to feel so much better.
That's a good segue into the world bosses, because the world bosses are now similar to how Tolbarad has been working, and you can get your PvP or your PvE gear from the Shaw of Anger and Salis's Warband, which I think people will call Galleon, which is like the mount that the dude rides, which you can get from the world boss, and you can get the Reigns of the Heavenly Onyx Cloud Serpent from the Shaw of Anger. So a mount from both world bosses. I think they have like a 15-ish minute like respawn timer, but I was wondering if they were going to try to put in an instance world boss like they have in SOD, but in MoP, so that everybody can just go in and do the boss whenever they want to, or do they have to fight for the tag? Because it wasn't until 5.2 where the world bosses change to where they're are no longer tapped to faction, so players from both factions that engage in the world boss at the same time can now get loot from it. So unless they brought that forward into like
that will be in. That will be in, because that's a system that will be in.
I don't see that reason why that wouldn't be in. Just because like most of the servers nowadays are not 50-50 balance, except for maybe one or two. So the cross-faction balance is just going to be so much easier.
Yeah.
So just pull that system in early, huh?
Yeah.
But don't instance them.
Because it will be a 5.4.8, version of the game class balance systems. Like, that will definitely be there. But keeping them as world bosses, non-instanced is definitely the play. And again, there's far more than just those two. They're the two that are going to be available at launch, but then, you're going to get the one on Isle of Thunder, one on Isle of Giants, the 4 on in what's it called, Timeless Isle. You know, there's more that get added. I mean, yeah, as I say, they've got to stay as proper world bosses. They can keep that instant sod bullshit in sod.
I've liked it on sod. It's been pretty cool. They've added new bosses in there too that weren't in classic as an instanced world boss, like the dude that you fight for the Thunder Fury up in Silithus. Like that's a world boss now that you can just go up there, go into the instance portal and do that. Fuck you, Chunk. Fuck you, buddy.
Oh, look at Go defending Season of Discovery. Bless him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you get me
So
fired
enjoy
up
it.
talking about it.
Yeah, the only one person on the podcast that actually plays it still.
I know.
It's good. It brings
but
balance.
I flew, or I didn't fly. I guess I was on the flight path, so I did fly. But I saw the Shaw of Anger, and it brought back memories. And I did like fighting for the tag back in the day. But at this point, I just want to be able to go up to it whenever I want to, fight it with a group as soon as a group's been formed, and get my loot. My patience for like world bosses is kind of out the window. I just want to be able to do it whenever, with whoever. And if I have to wait 15 minutes for a tag and I'm late for raid because I didn't get to get home from work in time because there was traffic, and then now I'm fucked, like, I don't know.
I remember I got the mount from that back in the day, and it was super rare on my Warlock.
I'm currently on stream, just chilling on my Galleon mount. I do like the Galleon mount.
Yeah, they were both so difficult to get. It's just like 1% or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
1%,
Yeah.
1 chance a week. Have fun.
All right, well, I got
That's why you level alts, right? No.
I got to
could
talk
do.
about some PvP.
And
I know-
just addressing chat about
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, about Galleon's respawn timer. I would imagine, like, yeah, Galleon 100% was rare. You know, like the excitement when Galleon popped was like in every single, you know, world zone chat. No matter where you was, you knew Galleon was up. I again, when we're talking about classic and how Blizzard need to do certain things, I don't think that kind of works nowadays. Like, it makes sense to have it on its 15-minute spawn timer. Yeah, I just think it makes sense. Like, who wants to only see Galleon? Maybe, I mean, on a 48-hour spawn timer, let's be honest, you might never see it. Like, in all seriousness, you know, there's a chance that you just miss it all the time. But yeah, it'll end up being a quick spawn timer, I reckon.
It's like what Willie said on his recent video. Like, the world boss is back in Classic. If Galleon spawns at 3 a.m. and you're getting blown up on Discord, yo, wake up, we're about to do Galleon. Like,
Quick Galleon,
sleep
everyone
schedule.
get up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
All right, PvP time. I still PvP a lot, especially on SOD. I've been PvPing in Cata a little bit, especially the first like 2 weeks. I was PvPing just to get some conquest gear to upgrade from my season 9 gear, whatever the last season was. But PvP now, players take 40% less damage from other players, like baseline. And it's just kind of like a big resilience buff, because that's how much resilience I have right now. I have like 4,000 resilience, which translates to about 40% less damage. And yeah, having that baseline is, I don't remember how that felt back in MoP, like out in the world.
Didn't they have a
for
new
PvP.
stat? I don't know too much about it. Didn't they have
PvP
PvP power?
You get
something
PvP
power,
power. Yeah. So which sort of then
Yeah.
offsets that? Like, obviously, you know, like, I don't PvP that much. I go through little phases where, you know, like I was doing a lot of PvP a couple of weeks back on my feral and on my shaman on Cata, but I don't PvP that much. But from everything I've heard from people who do, everyone seems to remember MoP as one of the most balanced, like, PvP ever was. Again, like, I don't want to sort of stand by that comment and say that it's factually accurate, because it is just from from people that I know PvP back in the day or PvP on P servers. But yeah, I've never really heard anything bad said about PvP in MoP.
PvP was more fun in MoP. Like occasionally I'll go in 1v1 Go, and I have 0 PvP gear and I'll just destroy them.
Oh, come on.
But well, okay.
Yeah.
We basically traded. We traded one for one. Okay.
Yeah.
But like for MoP, the PvP power is just so much better of a system instead of having the resilience, because you can wear your PvE gear and it's still going to be impactful, but the PvP gear is going to be more impactful than your PvE gear.
Have we got new battlegrounds coming? Silver Shard Mines, you guys remember that one? There was 10v10. There was like one spawn point for your faction. Every time you died, you went back to your little like starting zone, and you had to stand next to the mine carts as they went along their tracks, and whoever controlled the mine cart when it reached the end, you got like bonus resources or whatever. So you'd have resources being collected while you had control of the mine cart, and then bonus when it got there. And it was just like running to the different 3 carts as they were about to cap to try to get that bonus. And I really like that BG.
Yeah, I think Temple of Kotmogu is better, but I do like the mines. It is good.
I think my biggest memory of PvP back in MoP, so I didn't do too much that much of it, but legendary questline, you had to do that mine battleground for some reason. I think.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I
haven't
don't.
Up the legendary line.
I don't remember. I've not done it
at
for a
some
while.
point in the legendary questline doing a battleground and thinking I haven't done one of these for ages.
That's kind of cool, I think.
That'll be the only part of the legendary questline that Go will enjoy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get to smash some alliance while I'm getting some new loot.
That's going to be an interesting part of the legendary quest line. Like everybody in the guild's like, somebody please help me. I need help doing the PvP part because I can't PvP.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I remember doing that and thinking, wow, I haven't done a battleground in so long.
Well, Temple of Kotmogu is another 10v10, and there's 4 orbs to hold. There's little spawn points. It's kind of like a square. And then if you control the orb, you get more resources if you jump down into the middle and hold it. And then the longer you hold your orb, the more damage you do, but the more damage you receive. And I think the less healing that you take too, the longer you have it. So it was pretty sick. If you held that orb for a long time and you had like a good solid team of healers and people peeling for you, you could just kind of like pick people off as they come in to try to kill you. And you always had to like remember who in your team was holding an orb and which location that they picked it up from. So when they were about to die, you could go over and try to re-pick it up immediately. Yeah, that was a fun one, Scott.
Yeah, it's probably my favourite out of the 2.
And I think we get some more later on into the expansion too. These were just 2 that we're gonna see like on launch. So I can't remember the 3rd one, but at Siege maybe of something. But
Twin Peaks, is that more?
Twin Peaks we already have right now, I think.
Oh god, not so much PvP.
Yeah. we've got the Twin Peaks. I think there's a 3rd, maybe a 4th.
Oh yeah, it's the Wildhammer one, isn't it?
That comes out. New arena battlegrounds too, if you want to call them battlegrounds. Tolvir Proving Grounds. Looks like Nagrand, but there's only 3 pillars, so it's kind of like Dusty. And there's like 2 pillars on one side, 1 pillar on the other. That one was kind of meh. It was okay. Tiger's Peak. I remember seeing this one. There's 2 pillars like at the starting zones, and then there's 2 little platforms on each side. I still see them using this one in both of these, I guess, in retail for the Arena World Champions. I still watch that, even though I don't play retail. That's the one retail thing that I hold on to is watching my PvP. But yeah, I like both of these arena maps. Hopefully, we get them because we didn't get a new one in Wrath. I forget what that one was called, but we didn't get that one. They were like, "Oh no, fuck it."
Oh, that one. I know the one you mean. The Ogrimmar one.
The one with the platforms.
It was such a mess. They
up.
didn't even put it back in the game.
Yeah. But nothing really moves on these 2 maps, so I imagine it shouldn't be too hard for us to get them.
Can't remember what it's called now. I remember them patching it every single major patch and it just breaking something else.
Mm-hmm.
In Classic, they're like, just play Dalaran or something.
I think that's all the PvP stuff I had. Let me ask you a question here, Scotty. Will archaeology have more pre-raid best in slot pieces for people to farm in the pre-patch, like we had to do, going from Wrath into Cata, and everybody was begging for bad luck protection?
Yeah, not to the extent of Zimrock or anything like that. You get like an offhand caster offhand. You get a polearm as well. I mean, they're basically just 5-man heroic quality. So, I mean, they're decent,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
They're normal, right? Because, well, actually, I think they're 463, but you can't upgrade them like you can for the heroic pieces.
Yeah.
So they're more of like, they're going to tide you over until you get that piece that you need, but they're not really that big, and they're not impactful as much as they were for Cata. People will still do it, but they're more for alts getting gear to go into the heroics kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the more important, I mean, they are pre-raid best. There's no way around it. But like Inscription can make bind on account staves. You know, that's going to be sort of the one that you're going to be seeing a lot of people like going for, because it is actually epic quality and it's bind on account. So you only need to make it once. But yeah, that's pretty solid.
Darkmoon cards.
Darkmoon cards
for 2 phases as well. Again.
Yeah, the relics of like Zuen are super strong.
Mm-hmm. They're ridiculous how strong they are, even for just starting of the whole expansion. Like, they keep doing it, and I think it happens again in WoD.
I hate having Darkmoon card Volcano still equipped right now.
Well,
yeah, it does suck.
Pretty strong trinket.
That's
and it's gonna do the same thing for, I think, casters and pretty much all Agi wearers, where there's until end of Throne of Thunder.
All right, well, we talked about some potential alt catch-up mechanics earlier, but something that I would like to see is a dynamic XP rate where once you get a level 90 tune, all of your alts will have 10% bonus XP.
What a brilliant idea! Where did you get that idea from?
That's fantastic.
It sounds like a retail thing. Warbands?
It might be from a certain server that I'm playing on right now.
Yeah, it is also on there. Yeah. I mean, even Whitemane done it for Cata as well. Yeah, the more characters that you had, the bigger XP multiplier you got. So similar, like
reward people for playing alts. Who knew? It's a good idea.
Yeah.
People like to play other classes too. Like, I have a variety of classes, but I mainly play 1 or 2. But I'd rather have the XP bonuses. Like, even if they brought, just say, Joyce Journeys after a month of the X-Pack being out, I would level alts. But I think having like a Warband type experience gain would probably be better for the health of the game, especially because of the type of expansion it is.
Do you think classic players are ready for racial swap, where you pick whatever race you want, and then as long as a different race can still have your same class, you can swap between the racials? You can put a cooldown on it, like you can only do this once a week, once a month, once a day, whatever you want to put on there. But if I could be a Tauren, or if I could be a Night Elf, and still have War Stomp, then that would make me actually play an Alliance character. Like, Shadow Meld's kind of cool, I guess, because they changed it, but being able to have Berserker as a Night Elf or Berserker as a Tauren would be really sick. Like, it would just open up options. Like, I'm ready for it to be in Classic. How do you guys feel?
Let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. obviously there's like we've seen how historically, if you want to do better in raid, you go horde because they just have the better ratios from now until many years later. And I remember I made a video at the start of Wrath saying this had happened, and what you know, it has happened because history's just repeated itself. Why wouldn't it? See, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but basically Blizzard won't do it because it just wouldn't. It doesn't have to happen, and it wouldn't fit thematically. Some more casual people will go, "Why can I pick a night elf and have war stomp? This doesn't make sense."
I think there's a few reasons why they are not going to do it. One of them being like the Alliance side will die, so we'll have to bring back what we had for vanilla for battlegrounds. Is Horde could face Horde. I don't know if anybody else remembers that, but I remember a lot of that.
Oh yeah.
Just the racial swaps doesn't really work for a classic type gameplay. Because there's like no mercenary mode like they have for private servers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. You know, as in, I quite like it. I've played on many servers with racial shift. Just anything that can help faction balance is a good thing. But I could kind of see him on PvP servers doing the whole forced faction balance coming closer to MoP. I see server merges happening before MoP personally. In which case, if you've got forced faction balance on PvP servers anyway, then it kind of don't really matter too much. Because I would only want it used as a tool to promote faction balance, you know, rather than that everybody can just get berserk in as a druid, or everybody can get the you know. It's more like the reason private servers do it is so everybody doesn't just roll horde.
Oh yeah, they had like a bunch of other bonuses for Alliance too. I guess Alliance is that bad.
Yeah, most private servers normally give Alliance like extra XP or extra reputation gain, or just something to promote people to, or lure people towards Alliance.
Are there any reps that we're gonna have to farm up for any certain like enchants? Like in Cata, we had to get our shoulder enchant from Deepholm, from Therazane rep. Are there anything like that we're gonna have to farm up after launch before the raids come out to try to get an enchant or a certain piece of gear? Because I was trying to look up gear from the factions. I couldn't really find, like, it looked like a totally different system going into MoP. Like there's not like 3, 4, 6 item level, or I think that's what it was in Cata, that you could buy like blues and stuff like that from them.
There's a couple that are like from Honored, but like you'll get that kind of naturally. Most of the stuff comes from neutral, so you don't really need the rep.
There's a lot there's a lot at Revered. It's a lot for professions. Reputation is the most important for professions. Yeah, to get dancing steel and stuff like that is Revered. To be able to get like enchant, intellect and stuff like that on bracers is Revered. With August Celestials, I believe. Every healer is going to want to get honored with Claxy. Like literally every single healer will want honored with Claxy to get the amber restorative amber thing, which is basically like a dreamless potion where like you get encased in amber and it gives you health and mana back, which is going to be super important for healers in challenge modes, for example. A lot of them have got mounts exalted.
Yeah, they got like pets and toys and shit.
Yeah, but it's a lot of recipes are super important. Like leg enchants is behind rep. As in for your leather workers or tailors. So they're important. Like they are important. And obviously if you're doing your dailies every day and you're farming rep and you're one of the, among the first on the server to be able to pump out leg enchants or dancing steel enchants and stuff like that, from a gold making perspective, it's super important. But the most important rep really is just Black Prince. Like that's part of the legendary quest line. It's very grindy. Like that's the one that everybody like has to do. It's not even optional. But yeah, the others really honoured with Claxy. None of them are massive, you know, as in where it's like the majority of players probably could just ignore reputations altogether and still have a really good time, you know. But there's going to be certain things that encourage people like us, you know, will be doing a lot of dailies because we're going to want those recipes, we're going to want the mounts, we're going to want, you know, the toys that are actually useful. But yeah, in terms of like, can you play the game without ever doing a daily? Yeah, absolutely.
Can you play the game without ever planting something in your farm? Because we're getting player farms and MoP, and Chunk stoked to plant his carrots and his turnips. But is there any like sweaty reason to have a farm? Like any min-max reason to have a farm?
Min-maxing your farm.
Yeah.
It's a real game.
That's about it. I mean, there's a lot of cooking stuff from it.
Yeah, and it's good for Spirits of Harmony as well, which are obviously bind on pickup. So you can plant moats of harmony. There's good benefits. I mean, you can get everything, like literally everything. You can get enchanting mats. You can get cloth. You can get herbs. You can get leather. You know, literally everything profession-wise you can get from the farm. So if you're into making gold and you're into your professions, then yeah, it's absolutely worth doing. But like I won't be doing a great deal with it. I'll do it all once just for the achievements, but it's not like a lot of people will have loads of them. You know, they'll have like an army of alts with full soil slots, or however you want to word it, where they're just pumping out enchanting mats every day on all of them, or you know, tailoring mats every day on all of them. But like, unless you're that sort of person, you're not going to be bothered. You know, if you're that sort of person that had, you know, at the start of Cata had like 10 alchemists to be doing transmutes every day, you're probably the type of person that's going to max their farm out on every character.
See, I didn't have that many. I had 3, and I still use all 3 of my transmutes just so, because I'm waiting for Dragon Soul and waiting for all the prices to skyrocket for those BOE craftable items. But like, I'll probably have like 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah, but in terms of like the reps, the farm, you know, again, there's really good rewards behind all of it and really good reasons to do. It's not like just dead content, you know. And again, like, unless you're in a massive rush, you haven't got to be working on them all at the same time, have you? You can be like, oh, I'm going to do my anglers dailies for a month, you know, and get all of those done, and then you might start doing Claxy or like whatever. But as I say, my one piece of advice would just be for every healer. Like, your number one job should be getting honoured with Claxy just to get your restorative amber. But outside of that, I do see them as quite optional.
All right, Scotty, I got to ask you, because I haven't looked it up at all. How is this legendary? It's cloak, right? How does this quest chain work? It's going to be available at launch. What do we have to do?
I can't remember every step, if I'm completely honest with you, because it has been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I actually done it. I mean, I've got probably halfway through it on Stormforge Season 1. But it's just an expansion long legendary quest line for everybody. So, you know, you're going to have your typical collection quests in raids where you're, you know, hoping a boss drops a sigil of wisdom at the start, or a sigil of power, one or the other. Well, both you need, but yeah, and then there's the Black Prince rep that's tied to it, which you slowly need to get your rep with that higher and higher, which is just very grindy. Literally just killing mobs. It gives you Black Prince rep. And then, yeah, you're going to get a really insane meta gem. So your meta gem, you'll have a legendary meta gem. You'll be able to get a Shard Touch socket that goes into a weapon. You know, you slowly unlock all of these, and obviously the last part of it that you're going to get is the legendary cape. The problem with the whole thing is, yeah, A, it's very unfriendly if you re-roll late into the expansion, and B, you generally don't want anyone in your raid without it. You know, when you get to that point where you've got the legendary cape, it is huge. It's not just a little upgrade. You know, it is like DPS breakingly good. So, like, you'll get people that will turn you away from groups for not having it because it just makes that much of a difference. Unless I'm not exaggerating, you know, it's just massive. But it's not hard. So, the reason I say it's alt unfriendly is because if you start halfway through and you've now got to do all the old content to each week to catch up, obviously. But if you don't take a break and or even if you do take a break once you've finished each part of the quest line, you know, for the current content, it kind of just happens. You know, there'll be certain things that you have to go out and do. Like, I completely forgot about having to do BGs until Willie mentioned it. But, you know, there'll be a few things that you have to do along the way, but it's not like, it's not as big of a grind as some people will make it out to be. It's a fairly standard legendary quest line.
Just need it account wide, I guess, or some version of that.
Yeah, account wide, or you know, what we was talking about this on stream a couple of nights ago, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Nolty. Someone recommended that, you know, basically the way they do Inferno dungeons, with each phase that comes out, they just add, you know, whatever the currency is. We'll call them Fisher Stones, what they are at the moment. You'd be able to buy the legendary quest items, as in, if you need sigils of power, which you need 10 of, you know, it might be like 20 of the new currency to buy one of those legendary quest items. So you don't actually have to do the old raids, or you know, you almost feel like you're forced into doing LFR to get them done. You can just do the new Inferno dungeons and catch up.
I mean, the heroics right now on Stormforge are pretty facial. Like, the tanks don't need a healer. The tanks just hold W through the entire dungeon. They use as many speed boosts that they can just to get through, like, to the next boss. I've been left out of multiple boss rooms. There was one map where you can mount up on, and I don't have a mount because I don't have the gold for it. And everybody else just mounted up, ran through, got into the thing, and I just sat at the door and cried and got the same valor that they did, but I didn't get to participate. But yeah, like the heroics they seem so easy I guess it's the end of the game right now for it, but still, like, the heroics are a joke, it looks like.
Yeah, you
So
are doing it with people that have probably got gear as well, you know, as in, yeah. I'm not saying they're hard, you know, but yeah, doing them at the moment on Stormforge, like, you're getting a bit of a false perspective. They're just like Wrath dungeons. Like, honestly, that is exactly what I would compare them to. If you imagine doing Wrath heroics when we first dinged, like, you didn't even need to have the eye level to queue, did you? You just done walk-ins to begin with, and yeah, they were still pretty face roll. They weren't as challenging as Cata heroics. But yeah, they're if you enjoyed Wrath heroics, you'd enjoy MoP heroics, because they're that kind of face roll gameplay.
I don't know if I have too much left for us here. We got the black market. I don't even know what the black market is. Some sort of auction house where you can post stuff. That's all I got for the black market.
You don't post things. They're generated. No. So there'll be like old tier gear, for example, like Nax, original Nax level 60 tier. Pets. You get the odd PvP item or odd, you know, PvE item on there. But yeah, it's kind of a gold sink, but also a way to be able to get unobtainable stuff. There's mounts on there sometimes, pets on there sometimes. The main thing that most people will use it for to begin with will be for the pass for the blood-soaked invitation for Brawlers Guild. So Brawlers Guild is 1v1s, if anyone's not aware of what it is already. So deep run tram for Alliance or inside Orgrimmar for Horde, and you fight increasingly like solo bosses. You're fighting a boss, but they increasingly get harder as you go through the ranks. But to get in there,
Brawlers Guild's so good. Yeah,
I love it.
I forgot you had to buy it from the black market auction. When you get it though, you can like share it with somebody else, right?
When you get to like rank 7 or 6, something like that, it might even be a touch lower than that. You get one invite. So yeah, you get to like rank 6, let's say. Don't take that for granted, because I can't remember exactly what rank it is. But yeah,
I feel like later on they made it really easy to get in or get an invite.
yeah. Well, they started dropping from rares in Krasarang Wilds. Yeah, so you could farm it. So in the first phase, it's meant to be a bit of an exclusive club because you either buy it from the black market auction house or get invited by one of your mates that's got a spare invite. But it's good. Like, it's really cool. I really like Brawlers Guild.
It is. Yeah, I remember it was a lot of fun back in the day. Really good.
Occasionally drops from certain Horde and Alliance NPCs.
Yeah, that's the rares. That's only once dominance, whatever it's Operation Shield Wall launches. So that'll be phase 2.
Yeah. And I just looked it up. It says rank 7. You can receive 1 Brawlers pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that things got like properly hard to like rank 9 or 10. I don't know. I haven't done this in forever. And then there was there were other ones you could get from like archaeology and stuff and pet pals. Like special challenges and things. Really good bit of content, actually. Looking forward to doing that again.
Yeah, well, there was that, and then much later on, they added the trials things. What's the proving grounds as well, which was another really good piece of solo content where you either done it as a tank, a healer, or a DPS, and you done bronze, silver, and gold, but then you could do endless for the achievement. Like that's good. I really like proving grounds. I like any good solo content where it is actually quite challenging. Is always good in my eyes. But yeah, the BOE clause. So from Brawlers Guild, that's where you get the heirloom fist weapons. That's really it. That's it. To be fair, the rest of it is either for achievements or just for personal achievement. To say that you've done it, because they do actually get quite difficult.
This is also where we get to upgrade our heirlooms as well in MoP.
Yeah, upgrade them to 85.
But there's no 85 to 90 heirloom ever. Weren't we supposed to get something like that in Cata?
That didn't come out until Legion when they did the higher upgrading, I think. Because WoD didn't really have an upgrade system from what I was researching.
Yeah, I don't remember when it comes to
the
WoD.
85 is the highest heirloom.
Yeah, and so you just upgrade the ones that you've got at the moment, and it's just justice points, just from spamming heroics. And you get the legs, Raki, as well, yeah, like Raki's just said in chat. So working better as a team. The achievement to get all maxed MoP professions in your guild. And then, you get heirloom legs on the vendor as well, which is always nice.
I think all of the heirlooms that you could buy in MoP started at 80, only went up to 85, and then you could upgrade them once or twice.
Once 80 to 85. Yeah. So like for example, your chest and shoulders and the weapons that you use at the moment, they're what you'll pay justice points to upgrade to 85. Mm-hmm. And the Greenfire Warlock quest as well. Yeah, a couple of you have mentioned that. But there's a lot. Like, that's the best thing about MoP, and the reason why I think it will do really well is because there is so much content. And it don't matter what you want from the game. You can. There's just a lot to do for a casual player. Some of us that are sad will sit there and just smash through Brawlers Guild as quickly as possible. But it's actually getting to the max rank. It's a lot of content. Because you got to remember as well, unless they actually change it, for anyone who don't remember, you weren't instanced. You weren't doing it at the same time. You would literally stand and watch each person do their fight. So it used to be really fun. Yeah. I loved it.
It'd be like it. It's one of the annoying things because back then I was on a low population realm, and every single time I'd be like, "These bloody people from high pop realms are being sharded over to my realm." I was like, please give me something for playing on a dead realm. At least let me queue up many times in a row. But nope, you always had to wait.
Yeah, but it was great watching people struggle.
Battles. Yeah, there's like the legendary pet battles out in the world, and then there's the tournament on the Timeless Isle, which is also pretty hard.
Yeah,
back in the day to complete. I think it's the expansion where the end game really opens up beyond just primarily raid log. I mean, there's been stuff in Wrath and Cata, but I think it changes to a whole other level in Mr. Pandaria.
Yeah, if you like doing things that isn't just
raids. A lot of
raids.
Raid logging, but yeah.
There's a lot.
There's a lot more.
That was actually no limitation. That was WoD when they done that. In WoD, they made it so to queue for Warlords of Draenor Heroics, you had to have silver. That wasn't actually in MoP. In MoP, it was purely just optional content. Yeah, next, go.
That's it, man. That's all I got. A lot of new systems coming. I'm looking forward to playing it. I think Pet Battles is still one of the major systems that I'm looking forward to the most. Having to level up pets, though, from level 1 at level 85 is going to feel kind of weird. Instead of leveling one up as like a level 1 fresh like character, I guess I could control that myself and level up a fresh tune and Pet Battles at the same time instead of going back to the old zones to level up my pets. I don't know which way I'll end up doing it, but yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I'll still be playing Druid, Balanced Druid. I don't know if I'm going to make any ults. I've tried to make a Mage ult in Cata, and I failed. I got to 71 or 72, and I've been sat there for a couple of months. I can't bring myself to finish leveling it. I was thinking about doing it with Joyous Journeys, and then Joyous Journeys was here for like a week or two, and then they took it back away, and I was just like, fuck it. It's Mage is going to sit there. So yeah, Pet Battle is my favorite thing I'm looking forward to. Still playing Druid. Willie, what are your plans for MoP?
Continue healing, definitely. I think healing really, it just starts to become, for me at least, such a way more interesting role in Cata and beyond. So I'll be continuing on. Still got plenty of research to do, but yeah, I've enjoyed the Holy Paladin. I haven't minded Holy Power, actually. I thought I'd hate Holy. I remember back in the day hating Holy Power, and nowadays I'm like, yeah, this is alright, actually. It's just free healing. You don't spend any mana on it. It's great.
And it gets even better in MoP.
That's been good. Yeah, so yeah, I'll probably carry on healing. Obviously, I'll do a bit of a review on what I'll be playing, but I imagine I'll be healing.
Bearbiss, what are you doing? Just sticking to tanks? Are you going to play any DPS? I know you had the Mage and Warlock. You just leveled up.
I might do a little bit of Warlock, but I'll be mainly playing the Feral. If it's not Cat, I'll probably be the off tank for the 10-man at least. I want to try and get more into Kitty because I just love Kitty. It's so much fun. But then if I need to, I might just level a monk and play Brewmaster. And become Scott, the main tank.
Hell yeah. I got to ask Scott the opposite. Like, what aren't you going to play, Scott? Like, what two classes are you not going to play? Because you're going to be playing almost everything, I haven't imagined.
I won't be playing DK or Warlock.
Isn't Warlock like pumping?
Warlock is broken. Yeah, it does insane damage. No. It's like I don't play classes just because of how well they're performing at any given time. I don't enjoy Warlock. I've never enjoyed Warlock, even if it is absolutely busted in MoP, which it is. And the same with DK. I don't really enjoy DK. I've got both at 85 on Cata. I've got an 85 lock and an 85 DK. But yeah, I won't be playing either of those. My mains are going to be, I'll be a Windwalker monk in one raid. I'll be a Mistweaver monk in another raid. I'll be a Resto Shaman in another raid. And then I'll probably do a GDKP each week as rep. Because I really like, and again, out of all of the classes that I've just said there, outside of the Resto Shaman, which is extremely OP when it comes to healing, like all of the other specs I'm going to be playing are very middle of the pack. But they're the ones that I really enjoy. I'd imagine the majority of my time will be spent on both of my monks, though. I'm still not sure which one's going to get the most attention, as in the one that I'm going to be doing all the reputations on and all of that. Probably the Mistweaver. Surprisingly, like probably expecting me to say Windwalker, but the Mistweaver is going to be like probably my main out of the two monks. I love Mistweaver in MoP. It's just so fun. But yeah, like for anyone who don't know, like I've already leveled every class not every single one to 90, but like over the last 3 or 4 months, I've got the majority of the classes at 90, and then the ones that are not 90 are probably 85. So that obviously that was all in preparation for future content and everything, and really just try and remember what all the classes were like. But with this fresh MoP server that's launching this month, or next, it's probably this month now, I'm only going to do a monk and a shaman, because I've already done so much leveling. I don't want to burn out before MoP Classic actually comes, So, but we're treating it very much as a preparation for actually MoP Classic. Our raid group at the moment, over the next 6 to 8 weeks, it's all just going to be Dragon Soul prep and MoP prep. But there was a couple of things I just wanted to add as well, just minor changes, that because like this is meant to be the whole point of this podcast episode was not to dig massively into the details. Like you've probably noticed, like some of you have commented on different things, and we've like not picked up on it, because like I don't want to get into what's the best DPS, what's the best tank, what's the best healer, who does what rotations, because obviously we will be doing an episode for every class spec raid. You know what we done for Cata and what we done for Wrath and what we done for Season of Discovery. So we're gonna, they're gonna be the episodes where we get into the detail. This is more what should you expect from MoP. And there was a couple of minor systems that they actually put in place as well, which I was kind of waiting for them to be brought up naturally, but they just didn't come up. Where if you think, like, one of them's for leveling. So when you think about how frustrating it can be when you're leveling a character, and then you've got dungeons that you want to be able to do just to get in and get the quests done, but you physically ain't got the eye level. By the time you get the eye level, you don't want to do them anymore. They actually had catch-up vendors as well, which I'm hoping are in from the word go, where, for example, when you go to Mount Hyjal, you'll be able to buy for gold a full set of 232 gear, or whatever eye level it is. I think it's 232. So now you can queue for, Blackrock Caverns and Throne of the Tides like straight away. And then when you get to like 82, there'll be a vendor in Deepholm where you can buy a full set of gear. When you get to 85 and you go to Jade Forest, there'll be a full set of gear that you can buy again, so you can then queue into the MoP dungeons. I know it sounds minor, but it is actually a really good change. It costs a couple of hundred gold, a few hundred gold to buy all the pieces, but it means that you sort of don't ever feel like you need to skip dungeons because you ain't got the eye level to actually queue. So that's quite good. And then the other thing that we didn't really mention, which is kind of class specific, but it's quite a big one, which is like hunters, rogues, even warriors. Ranged weapons no longer have got a dead zone. There's no minimum range, so a hunter can literally stand on top of a boss and do their full rotation. And at the same time as well, the one thing that I know Stark, who's a long time hunter player, you actually need expertise as a hunter as well now. So that's because ranged attacks can be dodged. So again, like I think that whole like system change to hunters is big enough to at least warrant a bit of a mention, just because it's always been one of the most annoying things. Yeah, casters get hit from expertise. Yeah, you don't need an expertise cap, but if there's expertise on an item, obviously you can. Yeah, it actually goes towards your hit cap. So, sort of somewhere where that's really useful is if you imagine you're under the hit cap and you've got a piece of gear that's got hit and crit on. At the moment, you can't get any more hit on it. Whereas you would be able to reforge the crit to expertise. So now you've got like even another 40% worth of spell hit on. So yeah, that's a good shout as well. And that was it really.
And wands are now main hand. They're not like an extra ranged weapon.
Yeah.
There's no relic or totem or whatever shamans have.
Relic, totem, or books for paladin hunters or paladin druids and shamans. Like it kind of gets a little streamlined.
You can disengage out of combat as well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's actually so huge. Like in Cata,
it's such
Wrath. It does my head in not being able to do that.
It's such a good way to like travel around while on foot as a hunter, because I remember doing that in MoP, and it was just so much quicker instead of mounting up to get to the next mob. Just disengage to it.
Mm-hmm. Small thing, but again, hunters get a big quality of life. It's like, I remember in Wrath playing the hunter at the start of it, some of the boss models were just... They did not design stuff for a class with a minimum attack range, put it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a AoE stealth came in here too. I know the rogue had it. I think other classes might have been able to get it at some point, but yeah, like the AoE stealth was ridiculous in MoP.
I think it was only rogues, but also smoke bomb gets changed too. So like rogues get a lot of quality of life changes. Like we'll definitely go more into detail with a lot of the extra stuff, but like the generalization is like all these quality of life changes that get brought in with MoP are really good and just make it so much easier to play your class without having to depend on your talents or like anything else from your toolkit.
And the other good thing, which we did mention earlier as well briefly mentioned when we were talking about the inscription like staves that you can make, which are bind on account. There's actually a lot of bind on account items in MoP, where like rares in the world you will drop like, let's say, a level 87 blue weapon that will be bind on account. So even though you've not got looms, you know, that go from 85 to 90, there is actually a lot of bind on account items that you can get from rares that you can use on other on alts and stuff while you're leveling. Just
they basically took it out of archaeology and put it onto like the rares and some of your crafters.
Yeah. And that's it from me. I think that I can't think of anything massive. Again, like when it comes to some of these systems, we'll probably do a full-on podcast episode on pet battles, for example. You know, all of these systems might get like a standalone podcast where we just sit and really dive into it. But I do, Van, just to reply to you there. Like flex raiding, for anyone who doesn't know, obviously flex raiding, it's not how you know the raid system in retail, you know, where you can just take 10 to 30 people. It's an actual completely separate raid system that you queue in as a flexible sized group that drops items that are lower than normal but higher than Raid Finder. So the flexible raid is sort of thrown in between those two, and it originally didn't come out until Siege of Orgrimmar, which, again, just going back to what I said at the start, that's one thing which I think would be great to have in from the beginning, because it's a nice, real casual raid size where, you know, you're not really going to care what you take as long as you've got kind of people, you know, just reasonably geared people, but it'll give people a chance to actually do proper raiding fairly casually that's not as disgusting as Raid Finder. Now that's me done.
All right, well, we should be expecting beta probably in the spring sometime early next year, and then summer is what was listed for the pre-patch launching, which to me would be like June timeframe. So we've got about 7-ish months till pre-patch, give or take, for Firelands and Dragon Soul. So yeah, plenty of more MoP conversation to come.
Yeah, but I think we should, like, you know, this was not, so just for anyone that's watching either live or back, you know, this is not like the start of a weekly thing just yet. You know, this was just a very top level sort of intro to MoP, and realistically around January time, or, you know, mid-Jan, something like that, will be when we start doing actual weekly MoP episodes. But I think probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll start gearing up towards Dragon Soul. I'd say we start, you know, looking more at the last phase of Cata, which will be here sooner. I couldn't believe that it was the fourth reset this week of Firelands. Like, I couldn't believe that we've been doing it for a month already.
Mm-hmm. We're absolutely
well into
cruising.
January.
I mean, how just to round off the podcast, if we just talk about Cata for a minute, how many weeks do you think we should be doing Firelands for?
About 6 more.
I'd say another 10.
I would say 8 max.
Yeah, I'm like 2.5 months from now, I think, you know? What does that put us at mid-February, I think?
Yeah, mid-February. I think that we should see the beta about that time, but we should get into Dragon Soul a couple weeks before the beta so that people have time to kind of raid log before the beta actually comes out. So I'm thinking more of like mid-February for beta and just go all the way until pre-patch.
Yeah, I'm similar of a similar mindset. I'd like to see another. Let's say 6. I'd say 6 more resets. Bear with me. I'm not saying only 6 more resets in total, but yeah, 6 more resets at its current difficulty, and then like another maybe 4 resets where it's actually post nerf. So the guilds that are struggling to get Rag Heroic, Battle Rock, and all of that by then will actually get to clear the content before Dragon Soul. So I'd have another 6 weeks at full difficulty, and then I'd nerf it for the more casual guilds for a good 4 resets again after that. That would be what I'd like to see.
I could go with that if they're planning on doing the next version of Inferno Dungeons the same way they just did. Because if they would just put all heroic rag loot on a 5-man dungeon vendor next patch, then yeah, nobody's going to actually do heroic or Ragnaros. So yeah, if they made it like an easier version of it, and people could actually do it and then get their loot from the raid itself first before getting it from a vendor, then that'd be cool. Yeah, I
think they're going to do the same thing. Just weapons won't be the highest.
Yeah, possibly. I don't. You just never know with them, do you?
Yeah,
this is their chance to show us that they're spending time in Cata, and they're going to be spending time in MoP.
It'll happen. Build up the goodwill now, I guess.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is, they should have plenty of time on the basis that there's not unless there's things going on behind the scenes. You know, there's not really a great deal that they're working on, is there? What have they got? Season of Discovery is just going to be the Nax phase. And, I mean, they've probably already been working on that anyway.
Full ahead on Classic Plus at the moment, which totally will happen.
Yeah.
In 2026 or 7.
You heard it here first from Willie himself. Classic Plus confirmed.
Yeah, just very far in the future.
Ashes of Creation will be out before that, and that's not launching until 2030.
Yeah. This will be after Classic Scunter Legion, then they merge it with retail.
Yeah, and once we've got classic fresh. Once we've got, we've got to go through that
super
another
fresh.
5 or 6 times. Yeah, super fresh.
Yeah. Every time they release it, your resolution on your monitor gets slightly worse.
Cool. Any last final thoughts from anyone before we round this off?
No, I guess the next show we'll probably be talking something about Cataclysm. But thanks, Barabbas and Willie, for joining us on the first episode that we talked about MoP. MoP hype.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Obviously, where can people find you? Willie, start with you.
Just on the YouTube, Willie, that's me. Videos about WoW and WoW things. Yep, that's me.
Well, now we know that you're moving next week, I believe you said, didn't you? Is it next week?
Yeah, I will be doing. Yeah.
Are you going to start
next time? There'll be a different
streaming a bit more. Streaming a bit more once you've moved.
I don't really know what I'd stream at the moment, to be honte, so no.
What, are you saying you don't want to do classic hardcore? What's wrong with you, man? Why are you not playing vanilla again for the 100th time in the last 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, the whole there is that streamer hardcore thing, but I'd have to play on NA servers with 150 ping, and I'd have to play Horde.
There's one positive there, the Horde side. I mean, come on. The ping, I understand.
I mean, the whole hardcore thing's about leveling, and like the Alliance early game leveling zones are just Let's say I prefer them over the Barons for about 10 levels in a row.
Yeah, they're so good.
All right, and Bear, where can people find you, my friend?
Streaming on Twitch. It's Twitch/Threatbur, and I'm on Kick and YouTube as Bearbus. I do occasional stuff on YouTube as far as videos, but not too much. Just gonna get a little bit into more of that, but streaming Wednesdays, Thursdays, most weeks, sometimes on Fridays.
Mostly feral tank and stuff, right?
Mostly feral tank. 10 and 25. Yep. Feral tank and some cat stuff in there. Gotta throw in the cat stuff when I can.
And Go, what about you? Where can they find you playing Season of Discovery, whatever it's called?
You can't find me anywhere because I'm all alone on SOD.
Yeah. The Lone Ranger.
Yeah, YouTube.com or Twitch. Classic Go, CLASSICGHO. I'm playing Boomkin on Cata, Boomkin in MoP, Boomkin on SOD. So yeah, mainly PvP on SOD, but I hop into a raid every now and then too. I did one BWL, and BWL has been out for like 10, 12 weeks. Just because the PvE and SOD just isn't hitting right, but the PvP is pretty solid. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. And if you want to see lots and lots of MoP gameplay, specifically from the 18th of December onwards, but a little bit weaved in, in between Cata raids and stuff, then obviously I'm on Kick. I don't really... I stream on Twitch occasionally, a couple of times a week, but I haven't for like the last week or so, but that's because I've been sporadically going on Stormforge, and I don't really want to stream private servers on Twitch, whereas I don't really care if I'm doing it on Kick. So yeah, kick.com/Scottejaye. Come over and get ready for MoP with me. And that's it, Go.
Yes, sir.
I was literally just going to get up and walk off.
that would have been perfect.
All right, well, thank you guys. Willie, pleasure as always. Bear, thanks.
See you in a few days.
Yeah,
as good as you're gonna get.
See you at the raid, I guess, Bear.
Yeah.
And everybody in chat, everybody watching back, thank you. Obviously, we will dive a lot more into MoP over the coming months, and we will be spending a good few episodes gearing up for what's left in Cata as well. But don't expect another podcast for probably a couple of weeks because, Go's really busy playing SOD. I just can never lock him down.
I've been playing this whole podcast. Yeah, I've been honor grinding because that's what it takes to get 14 if you want to rank up in SOD.
No, thank you. Anyway.
Don't catch me doing that.
I can't imagine what it's going to feel like on Classic for them to grind up to rank 14 without like these extra
millions
honor systems that they've given
millions.
SOD. It's you're gonna have to fucking know life still to get rank 14. I hope people struggle. I hope
I paid for 2 high warlords. I'm good.
Yeah.
Not sure you should admit that, but cool. Cheers, guys. I'm going to the end screen. I'll leave that running for a few seconds, and we're off skiz.
Oh, I thought we were on the end screen. That's why I put a random story out there about SOD.
We're on it. We're on it now. If you wanna say something really inappropriate, now's your last chance. I'm really scared. I might mute.
No.
Just get out while you have the chance.
I didn't drink that much tonight, so I can't say anything too crazy.
Nor did I. I'm too hungover from last night. Honestly, I could have just stayed in bed instead of doing this. But I couldn't resist seeing Willie's wallpaper, so I had to come.
Yeah. The lovely stuff. Yeah, next time I'll next time it'll probably look different.